Hello, Denver East community. My name is Terita Walker, and I am one of your assistant principals and the DPS Learn to Lead principal resident. A native of Chicago, Illinois, I have spent the last 16 years of my life living and learning in the Denver community and am proud to call it home. I arrived in Denver in 2005, became a member of the East community in 2008, and I am a proud mother of an 11-year-old daughter, Chloe. My service in the East community has allowed me to work in multiple capacities for the past 13 years. Since walking into these doors in 2008 as a first-year guidance counselor after teaching in the Chicago Public Schools and Boulder Valley School District, my journey with the students, parents, faculty, and staff has been nothing short of amazing. During my tenure here, I have been able to increase concurrent enrollment participation at East, namely spearheading the addition of opportunities for students to access Calculus 3 upon completion of AP Calculus BC. I have had the privilege of leading an outstanding group of avid teachers and students into achieving 100% college acceptance for multiple consecutive years. I developed the College Application Day that helps over 100 students in one day each year gain assistance in navigating the college application process. I have organized the first of many East Equity Forums, which to this day provides opportunities for student and community voice. I have coached the Denver East cheerleaders onto a national platform to perform in the opening of the 2011 NFL Pro Bowl in Honolulu, Hawaii. I have organized and served for several years as the East Summer School principal to provide opportunities for our angels to recover lost credits and get back on track to graduate. I have even choreographed and led some of our most talented and amazing East staff members in a dynamic homecoming pep rally performance of the Whip and Nene. While I have had the pleasure of leading many efforts, it has been my honor to witness our English language learners experiencing access growth of nearly 30% over a 3-year span, reaching 87% growth in the 2019-2020 school year. This, among a multitude of other crowning moments, while persevering through some of our community's most difficult and challenging times, makes the last 13 years of my East experience even more invaluable. Through it all, I wear my halo proudly and look forward to many more amazing experiences and learning opportunities within this community. My continued vision for East High School is grounded in a belief in our continued journey along academic excellence that is best shared together so that we may experience and achieve more together. I envision an East that promotes lifelong learners and leaders in our staff and students. This is the East that continues to teach the values of academic excellence, civic engagement, equity and social justice awareness, and college and career readiness, while encouraging students to develop their own definitions of post-secondary readiness and success. While there is often a temptation to think that the principal must know it all, be able to do it all, and be everything to everyone, I recognize that this is not always possible. Therefore, my vision as an effective educational leader at East will lead me and our school into the understanding that we can never stop acquiring knowledge as we continue to strengthen and further create equitable conditions for rigorous learning. With this vision, we will stay committed and dedicated to our tradition of excellence in this ever-changing world. How will you support students who have lost nearly a year of schooling, and how will you ensure success and equitable access to their grade level content? Our students have experienced learning loss for many different reasons. Therefore, we will take several approaches to meet their needs. We must focus on offering engaging options for students recovering learning so that they don't feel like it's a punishment or a waste of time. I do not believe that we are looking for a brand new system. We need to strengthen some of the systems already in place at East and place a more intense focus on our social emotional supports. This includes our support staff who are doing weekly grade and wellness checks, safe and socially distanced home visits and materials distribution, as well as sharing of online tools and resources that provide academic support. Some students will need to revisit a course from beginning to end. Therefore, we would lean on the communication and support from our teachers that will produce early identification of students who need to work with their counselors to reassess and realign their schedule and graduation requirements and plan. Other students can benefit from competency based offerings by teachers during ninth period in quarters 2 and quarters 4. Now that we have begun to operate under a hybrid model, some students will even benefit from these competency based opportunities on Fridays in small cohorts. Both efforts have the potential to be offered online and in person so that students operating under both modalities can take advantage of this opportunity. What will be extremely important is the commitment that students make to these options as well as targeted supports that will be offered to students who need it. We must ensure that this structure enables sufficient time on task and has policies or incentives that encourage consistent attendance. This method is tailored to meet different learning abilities and will lead to more efficient student outcomes and more equitable access to grade level content. In addition to this, we will also explore hosting and even expanding offerings in the summer. We will commit to supporting needs of students across our wide spectrum, looking to extend their learning and access resources that will push them beyond their potential through college and career readiness programs, enrichment opportunities, and internships. There are also several fundamental supports that we have been able to provide as a school and must continue to be diligent. Thus far, our teams have delivered over 600 Chromebooks to students' homes, assisted over 50 families with accessing the internet with hotspots, and we are continually helping students gain access to online resources that have been shifted, modified, and scaffolded to meet students' diverse needs. The other reality around these efforts is that we will need to pull more people into these conversations. The how is and will continue to be in development as things continue to evolve for us in this context. So another important next step is to communicate with students and families to understand from their perspective what they need to be successful, how the school can be a helpmate and or offer resources, and what makes sense for them in these unprecedented times. We also have a dynamic online space where teacher leaders and other interested teachers host drop-in sessions for the staff that provide professional development opportunities around new and old best practices in this remote and hybrid context. We will stay focused on all of these efforts so that we may continue toward academic growth for our students. What are your beliefs about discipline? How would you ensure student accountability and still provide equitable disciplinary solutions without disproportionate results? When it comes to discipline, my experience leads me to believe that East can foster supportive conditions for learning and positive school climates that will help to engage all students in learning by preventing problem behaviors and intervening effectively to support struggling students and those at risk of academic and behavioral problems. By setting up discipline policies or codes of conduct with clear, appropriate, and consistently applied expectations and consequences, we can support students to improve behavior, increase engagement, and boost achievement. In order to achieve this, East must build our staff capacity and continuously evaluate and then improve our discipline policies and practices through restorative practice training and conversations with our students. Then we are more likely to ensure fairness and equity, provide targeted support, and promote achievement for all students. There is always room for further learning and improvement, so there are actions that we can take to strengthen our current systems that are grounded in restorative practices and not supplant them. In order to re-examine our discipline practices, we would start with bringing together a team as the team approach is optimal, looking at data and having the kinds of meaningful and sensitive conversations that we need to have to address racial, ethnic, and cultural issues can be enhanced by having as many perspectives and as much experience at the table as possible. Solutions will be better realized through coordination, collaboration, and stakeholder investment. Including students on the team can be a powerful strategy for ingraining meaningful, student voice into this process. Who can better describe the impact of discipline practices than the affected students? Student involvement on this team also opens up opportunities to develop actionable strategies with them rather than doing things to them or for them. Involving students as partners in reviewing this data and creating an action plan together will make the plan more relevant while increasing the likelihood that the strategies will be accepted, adopted, and become a part of our Angels' everyday experience. It is also important to welcome diverse parents, families, and guardians to be active and effective participants on this action team in order to express their views and provide important input on disciplinary matters that affect them. I believe that starting here will provide us with a structured way to build understanding and promote equity while allowing all participants to share their perceptions. With thoughtful implementation, our school can thoroughly and non-defensively examine our disciplinary policies and practices and logically lead us to addressing the root causes of disparities and ensure student accountability in order to provide equitable and disciplinary solutions. How will you create a safe and respectful environment for all students at East, especially for students of color and students who have experienced sexual assault? As we continue to build on creating a safe and respectful environment for all students at East, this work will be supported by focusing on developing, encouraging, and maintaining healthy relationships. This will be achieved by creating a culture of care. Now, this idea behind this work is actually a part of a larger movement practiced in schools that creates powerful strategies that build and support positive relationships and environments in a community. Creating a culture of care at East will be supported by training for all students and staff that teaches the skills and importance of cultivating respect and responsibility, practicing kindness and modeling integrity, building resilience, confidence, and self-esteem, managing misbehavior and improving performance, resolving conflict tactfully, setting clear and concise boundaries, and honoring diversity. What matters most in the implementation of this culture is collaboration, integrity, and trust. And since trauma-informed practices are embedded in the development and implementation of a culture of care, this approach will couple brilliantly with the consent education curriculum that is currently being developed at East in conjunction with our trusted community partner, Project PAVE. The implementation of these strategies requires us to be a place where we fully engage with each other by listening and responding in an effort to find solutions to make all students feel safe. My leadership and involvement as principal will be present and collaborative as an invested and committed member of our community. East is a diverse school with different ethnicities, races, cultures, economic, social, religious, environmental, and political backgrounds, to name a few. As principal, what would you do to build bridges to connect the East community together but still allow students to celebrate their individuality? As I shared in a previous response, creating a culture of care will assist in the building of this bridge. East High School is unique in so many ways. I see it as a wonderful opportunity to exist in a community with so much diversity. Diversity is something which should be talked about and celebrated. The easiest way to bring diversity into our school and in our classrooms is by recognizing it and encouraging students to celebrate it. It is an honor to engage in some of the staples in our community celebrations, like BSA's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Assembly, LSU's Cesar Chavez Assembly, and more recently added, the East Athletics National Girls and Women in Sports Day celebration that brings awareness to the efforts of Title IX. Also recently added the Black Excellence at East video series that highlights the Black excellence of our faculty and staff. I will work collaboratively with teachers to find ways to embed these types of opportunities for sharing and learning into classroom lessons and activities. In one classroom alone, there is a tremendous amount of diversity present. We must create opportunities to allow students to share their diversity with their peers. This allows others to benefit from the experiences that they would otherwise never have known or heard of. We will include teaching material which represents the rich diversity of the world, for instance, including material that represents multiple viewpoints and perspectives. Providing this space for students to practice critical thinking as they engage with material that touches upon things like nationality, race, political views, backgrounds, different languages, abilities, personalities, sexuality, age, current affairs, and socioeconomic matters cultivates a life skill that every East Angel should possess. In a short span of time, we can expose students to an unimaginable variety of things. Fostering diversity is incredibly important, and one of the best places to begin doing this is in our classrooms. So, as principal, I will work with our staff and students to create more spaces of collaborative community where people can engage in celebrating their individuality as well as learning more about the diversity that exists and is represented by those around them. I will promote and expand current practices like our East Equity Forums, club fairs, informational and celebratory events and assemblies, and the once proposed but not yet executed Unity Day that is designed to display and celebrate all of the diversity and uniqueness of East. Equity-centered environments must be responsive to and inclusive of the cultural identities of students, staff, and the surrounding community, and I know as a leader I will hold myself and others accountable for meeting our students' needs. I will personally engage in this necessary practice to have individual touchpoints between myself and students from different affinity groups so that I may actively seek to learn about the identities and communities that make up East High School. This will push me as a leader to be more thoughtful about the impact our decision making will have on all of the members of our diverse community. What actions will you take to recruit and retain teachers and an administrative staff of color at East? My mind immediately goes to a quote from Melody Hobson. Don't be colorblind, be color brave. Embrace diversity as a competitive advantage. Recruiting and retaining teachers and administrators is about cultivating relationships and educating ourselves on the value of having educators and leaders of color. All students can benefit from having teachers of color, research says. It suggests that white students show improved problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity when they have diverse teachers. An article in Scientific American sums it up this way. Being around people who are different from us makes us more creative, more diligent, and harder working. A report by Learning Policy Institute revealed that when taught by teachers of color, students of color have better academic performance, improved graduation rates, and are more likely to attend college. Now, these types of focused and targeted efforts benefit all students because the successes achieved from it enhance and support a more productive school environment and community. As retention rates in teachers of color decrease nationwide, we will need to find creative ways to reverse this trend. We will do this by connecting to or creating our own teacher pipeline. While this will start with clarifying the perceptions of the profession, we have East staff members that can serve as examples and mentors to students that may be willing to explore the teaching profession as an option. We will connect to an existing pipeline program, for example, the program offered in DPS through Career Connect, and use this as an exemplar for building our own pipeline over time. And this will help us create a recruitment database of educators of color. We will also recruit teachers and administrators of color from some of our local and national teacher preparation and alternative licensure programs. In addition to this, we will attend HBCU and other recruitment events whose focus is on the recruitment of teachers of color. Recruiting teachers and administrators of color is one thing, but retaining them requires different effort. The Bailey Report has made it very clear that the isolation teachers of color feel when there aren't many other teachers in a building who look like them is real. So I believe that we can dive deeper into the Bailey Report and learn more about how to conduct similar studies within our own school community regularly. We will need to create a sense of urgency around this issue by bringing our own school's data to the forefront. For example, we currently know that there is a disproportionately low number of teachers of color in our school. We must name that and work together to develop ways to address this by developing concrete steps and transparent goals. Our commitment by our faculty and staff has already taken shape through recent efforts like our Black Excellence at East discussion group and the work of our Black Excellence planning team. Conversations and initiatives such as this should also be run by those that they are intended to support. Therefore, minority voices should drive it. By taking these steps, we can get closer to achieving a staff of teachers and administrators that mirror the demographic of our school. The East High School college and career data demonstrates a pattern of inherent systemic racism that forces students into tracked and very entrenched lanes along racial and socioeconomic lines. How will you disrupt this pattern? Through several years of experience leading the East Counseling team as department chair, working with the Angels for AP Excellence group from its inception, and serving on the DPS school counselor leadership team, I will address these concerns with confidence. At East, we will continue to recognize and commit to taking immediate action to close our gaps in our most rigorous existing courses and curriculum. While our college and career data suggests that East demonstrates good pass rates in advanced placement and concurrent enrollment, we can increase access to our most rigorous courses by normalizing students of color taking these honors, AP, and concurrent enrollment courses. The very foundation of these efforts begins with instilling a culture of expectation of success in all of our students. While students are aware of AP and concurrent enrollment courses as an option, we must continue to examine why students of color do not feel like these courses are accessible to them and respond to these issues and concerns. We must also keep in mind that access means something different to every student. For some, merely making them aware of the opportunity is enough. But for others, it may require multiple touch points with students to build awareness, introductions to teachers, and introductions to students that have taken like courses in the past, shadow days in these courses, and educating students and parents about the value of these courses and what type of impact it may have on their post-secondary careers. We will also ensure that students have access to support systems while enrolled in these courses. Our data also shows that many students enrolled in AP courses that are students of color do not actually take the exam. So we must prepare and encourage students to sit for the AP exam upon completion of the course. In addition to this, the College Board has made recommendations of promising strategies for disrupting existing inequitable patterns that could potentially help us problem solve this ongoing issue at East. Some steps that we can take immediately include, while examining the enrollment patterns of our most rigorous courses is something we have done over time, we will make this a regular practice for continued learning and growth and then develop an action plan that incorporates all stakeholders. Audit our entry requirements, which in essence means we must take the time to review existing policies and practices for honors, AP, and concurrent enrollment to ensure that they do not create rigid barriers simply based on tradition or for the benefit of the teachers. Consider our expectations, as underrepresented students have shared that they often don't feel welcome in honors, AP, and concurrent enrollment classrooms because no other students who share their background or skin color are in these classes. Getting good data on student and faculty perceptions of who is appropriate for advanced classes is a great way to cut through the speculation and get down to the actionable solutions. Heterogeneous courses for all core classes can assist us in increasing participation rates overall. If we examine how students are prepared and supported along the way, rigorous courses will become the norm and not the exception. We will be more intentional about identifying students of color that have not accessed these rigorous courses, find out why, and then begin the hard work of determining what changes in staff assignments, Master schedules, professional development, and staff supports are necessary to build a culture of high achievement for all students. Opportunities to participate in rigorous classes can go a long way toward better preparing students of color for post secondary options. Until we can make these changes, many students will continue to be less prepared for higher education or for some challenges they may face in life. As Cornelius Minor says, systems don't change just because we identify them. They change because we disrupt them. Many staff members at East feel that the interests of the more affluent and vocal parents are heard and valued more than others. How will you handle the difficult position of balancing the needs and interests for all students and challenging needs that seem to favor one group of students over the others? I must first commend our teachers for sharing their voice. What's so great about this is that our teachers have concerns about a culture at East that doesn't align with the equitable practices that are necessary for all students to succeed. This is a fair and honest concern and must definitely be addressed. Equity is a core value in the Denver Public Schools, at East High School, and in my leadership philosophy. The true essence of equity starts with meeting people where they are and providing solutions that meet their needs. Every student and family's East experience will be unique to them, yet no one's experience is more valuable than another. One of my teammates often shares the words of Peter Drucker when we talk about this very subject. He often says, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And what I'm hearing from our teachers is the need for a culture shift in the way we allow the voices of some to drive our strategy and practice. There is a direct correlation between a productive culture and the success of all students through equitable practices. Shifting a long-standing culture is not an easy task. This must be a commitment from our entire community. So what does that mean to East High School? What it means is taking the steps to cultivate a culture that believes in the power of our community. We must rebuild our community into navigating a new normal. Our first steps in bringing about this change is in the direction of recognizing and understanding the difference between people's wants, needs, and preferences, and how they are aligned or not with our equitable practice. This is not about silencing our affluent and vocal parents. It is about empowering the parents of all of our students. As a parent myself, I don't want anyone to tell me that I can't and shouldn't speak up for my students' success. What I would commit to, though, is bringing other parents in my community on this journey for our children's success along with me. That's what members of great communities do. Creating the balance is in the strategy to uplift our unheard and marginalized parent groups so that all families can express their needs and our faculty and staff can make a commitment to meeting those needs for the success of every student. So our work as a school is to create opportunities to build relationships between parents, host resource sharing sessions, support spaces in our community that bring diversity of our families together at the same table with us. It is in these relationships of the adults in the school that shape the culture and wellness of the school environment. There is so much power and opportunity when a group of people with similar interests get together to work toward the same goals. As a community, we all want to see East and its students thrive. So we must hold each other accountable, commit to equitable actions, and foster a culture of equity that will not favor one group over another, but will prioritize the building of our community to achieve success for every East Angel. Please describe a time when you struggled to make a difficult and perhaps unpopular decision and how you managed to staff, community, student reaction, and pushback. The first difficult and unpopular decision that comes to mind is the experience with offering diversity dialogue sessions with our East staff. In retrospect, this was indeed a struggle, but a beautiful struggle. The outcomes and the shift in thoughtfulness and vulnerability for many outweighed the difficulty. The personal and professional reflection process that many of our staff members experienced has made room for people to become more comfortable with difficult conversations and conversations about race. However, getting to this place did not come easily. Managing this space with our teachers meant a couple of things. It meant that I had to take ownership of the missteps in planning and communication as a leader. Being more specific about planning, timelines, and expectations should be shared prior to implementation to avoid causing issues in future communication. Those breakdowns in communication often cause confusion and disinterest in participation. So, hearing and validating people's frustration was necessary and provided direction and growth around strategic planning for me. While it wasn't easy to hear, it did give insight on next steps and improvement strategies. As Nelson Mandela once said, may your choices reflect your hopes and not your fears. While the struggle may have caused some to lose interest in participating, we all know that we have high hopes and expectations in our work around equity, diversity, and inclusion. So we left the fear of failure behind us and moved forward with confidence to continue to offer these sessions throughout the school year. As Nelson Mandela also says, I never lose. I either win or learn. So after getting beyond the effect that the lack of planning and poor communication had on people's interest in participating, we had to focus in on the purpose and intention of this work. In order for people to show up to engage in this work, they needed to be transparent and vulnerable. To support this, there was the need again for me to be vulnerable as well, to receive the feedback from others and to listen, truly listen to the concerns of others. As a leader, I could have been more aware of how the implementation of these dialogues would and could affect the vision. So in the future, I have and will continue to exercise better communication and planning in order to relieve the tension between what is communicated to staff and the goals of the work that we want to achieve to strengthen our relationships and practice. I will end by saying this. The results have made me proud of our staff and their continued commitment to this work. We are making great progress, and the self-reflection and vulnerability that showed up in the diversity dialogues has been something that many of our staff members often reference when they speak of their own personal growth. I believe that teachers are among the nation's most resilient and adaptable professionals, and they also realize that it is essential that we focus on building relationships amongst ourselves and supporting equity, diversity, and learning in order to create a welcoming environment and a sense of safety for students and their families. Furthermore, despite the rocky start, I do believe we are working towards strengthening our relationships and recognizing our biases to build on our practices so that we may be able to reflect in our diversity and our equity and our inclusion of our work for our students. Scenario: East High School students and staff are known for being incredibly active in social justice movements. When a walkout, protest, or other action is taken by the student body, how will you respond? I am so proud of our students and staff for their bravery and action for social justice. So to be known as a school community for being incredibly active in social justice movements fills my cup. This display of action orientation to promote progress for humanity is a part of the learning process that supports our students' critical thinking. Their global citizenship and productive efforts is a continuation of the legacy of civic engagement and rich history of East High School. From past experiences of watching, hearing, and sharing with our students, I've witnessed some amazing things. Together, our students and staff have lifted their voices and come together as a powerful force of a community around many different movements. Knowing the recent actions of our students, I will organize a social justice movement response team with representation from multiple members of our school community. Along with me, our team will develop response plans with the primary purpose of protecting our students and staff. Members of our support staff will be included in this plan for social emotional supports, and instructional leaders will be included to support our staff in creating extensions of learning to implement into our learning spaces. So as the principal of East, I will be there to hear the voices of our community, make efforts to understand our kids, promote their thoughtful leadership movements toward change, empower our student and staff leaders, and help guide our community into productive, effective, and safe actions with the help of our teachers, leadership team, safety and security staff, community, and central office support. In this 13th year of my East experience, I'm led to speak into existence that my time has come. The number 13 symbolizes a renewed passion and motivation. It announces the ending of old cycles and the beginning of new ones. After spending several years serving in education, I have taken on the role of teacher, post secondary coach, school counselor, department chair, personnel subcommittee member, professional development facilitator, leadership intern, national presenter on multiple platforms for college and career readiness, advanced placement, RTI, and athletics, assistant principal, athletic director, athletic coach, CHASA board member, NFHS education committee member, AP test coordinator, and ACT SAT test supervisor. I am excited, prepared, and absolutely ready to add principal of East High School to this list. East High School and I have grown up together over the years, and there's no sense in stopping us now. As the succession principal of East High, will make a full commitment to my leadership and stewardship for this community. I have the ability to encourage, inspire, lead, inform, listen, create, innovate, and nurture our students, staff, and this community. So, as Oprah Winfrey said so boldly, I was once afraid of people saying, "Who does she think she is?" Now I have the courage to say, "This is who I am." So I stand before you courageously and say, I am your next principal of East High School. Thank you.